This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Mike Murphy.
Thanks, Charlie. Yes, I am Mike Murphy, the host of the Good Neighbor Podcast. I interview local business owners and influencers so that the community at large can know them as the people, the humans that they are, and not just logos on a business card that somebody may hand you at a networking event. And the local business owner I'm with today is my friend Jessica. Jessica owns Branded by Jessica Jane, which is a photography business. And so I know a picture tells 1,000 words, but we're going to ask Jessica to share with us probably at least 1,000 words without pictures. She'll help you paint a picture in your mind's eye today. So Jessica, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Mike. I am super glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you. I have, some experience seeing some of your work. It's beautiful work, which is kind of why I encouraged you to come on and share something about your business, because I think we need to let people know how they can see some of the beautiful photos that you've created that I've seen. So just in a I guess the 60-second elevator speech, let's call it. If somebody says, "Tell me, Jessica, what is Branded by Jessica Jane?" What's the answer to that question?
Well, we do professional and personal branding imagery. We have a process in which we kind of get to know you, your brand, your team, if you have one. And we just go through a process of inquiry. Then we kind of send a survey that will let you answer some questions about your brand specific details. I'll look through kind of your branding that you already have that exists. And then we'll have a strategy meeting and kind of put all that together and collaborate and to plan our session. And then I'll look through your website, your existing color palette, and kind of utilize everything to make sure that we have a cohesive look, and just kind of go through the process and then have the session day will be all pre-planned and ready to go. So it won't be stressful, because I know being a mom that it definitely is stressful just taking photos. Any kind of photo session, right? Whether it's, a family one, a branding one, or whatever it is, as long as you're prepared, it's a lot less stressful and everything goes smoothly. And the outcome is always much, much better when you're prepared. And then the session is usually, one of those things where we're kind of getting an outside perspective of your brand and your business. A lot of times people, take their own branding images, and that's great because you know your brand more than anyone. But with the process that we have at Branded, getting to know you and your brand, and then kind of taking an outside perspective on like your everyday, what's kind of just your everyday is very unique to everyone else. And that needs to be, told through images. And that's kind of what we do.
Branding is more than just somebody's logo. It is, I like to say, it's storytelling, it's educating, it's reputation, it's creating a feel for a business. When people look at you as a person, you have a personal brand. They have a feeling about you. When people see your logo, you have a brand there too. They have a certain feeling about your business, and you're doing that for businesses and for people. Now, I've been on your website. I know that there are categories that you work within typically, and that would be trades. Grain and livestock is one of them. I want to explore that a little more with you. Equine, horses, and senior portraits. So, that's a lot of animals and people, and you can't always control either of them. So how do you handle working within all those categories? And do you have a favorite one?
Well, I think the thing about me is that I don't do a whole lot of post photography. So when I take a photo, I'm trying to look as like almost like you're looking in through a window. So you're telling their story, because really a genuine, authentic image tells a story more than any kind of post setup could. So for me, those specific categories tell stories easy. So seniors, they're kind of at a milestone in their life. And that's the section that I've kept for my portfolio. And then ag and trades and equine, they're more of the motion type of imagery that really lends to storytelling. Behind the scenes is such an interesting story, business type of perspective. Just they're hard workers. And for me, I'm from a smaller farm community. So it draws my heart. Those more like, blue collar farmers, those type of people just to me are very authentic and genuine. And so that's kind of why I stick to that type of, I feel like it matches my photography best.
Some of the photos I've seen that you've taken are oddly emotional considering the subject. It's a candid photo, but the way you capture them, they don't understand. They don't know in the moment that they're being photographed.
Yeah.
But
correct.
you capture a moment in time that you can just kind of wrap a story around that single image, and it can be emotional. So I kind of I equate your photos to photos that I've seen like in Life magazine, National Geographic, and that's a big compliment because
Do
those
you,
photos are, some of the
does
some of
you
the
get
best known photos in the world. But that's a very your photography is kind of akin to that sort of photography. It's very beautiful. If you can't tell, I'm trying to get people to be curious enough to go to your website,
I
and
appreciate it. Yeah.
we'll get to that here shortly. So, how were you inspired? What was your inspiration for photography?
Well, my family is a very big part of my life. They always have been. We're extremely close. We're small, but we're very extremely close. So my mom always used to set up kind of like photo sessions in our backyard in different places. My grandpa, he is he's kind of a blue collar. They lived on a farm, so that kind of draws me to those type of things. So my family is really a big inspiration and kind of like what has made me kind of explore photography because my mom always had a camera in her hand. She was always documenting like just the little moments. So it's more like a Polaroid because for me, photography is that old school, like documentary type of photography, not the JC Penney's go and pose type of
Right,
photography. So
right.
I think I had a different perspective because like we were from a smaller town, so we didn't really even have a JCPenney's. So we didn't go to JCPenney's to get our photos taken. My mom had a camera and she would set up a bed sheet and just take our picture. And I mean, they turned out great. So she did a good job, but that was kind of like a more style. And then she would always take pictures at events. Like I'm from Indiana, so we have a big old Indy 500 party we did at the farm every single year. My grandparents, and they invited literally everybody in the town. And so we have tons of pictures and it's just nobody's posed and everybody's kind of in the action of it. And so I've just always been kind of surrounded by pictures like that. And so I think that's kind of why I have the style that I have is more so
Yeah.
like a documentary type of setup.
Because growing up, that's what photography and photos were to you. Were
Correct.
the
Yep.
action shots, the in the moment shots, yeah, the non-posed.
A genuine perspective is kind of way that I would describe my type of photography. So I like to tell the story of really the people in a genuine way.
Do you remember the first photo you ever took?
That I ever took?
Yeah,
Um,
I imagine you were quite young when you did.
I mean, the only thing that I can really think of is that I really enjoyed taking pictures of it. Is my dad raced stock cars my whole life until I became an adult. He stopped, but we were always at the track, and my mom always brought her camera to those, dirt tracks. And I remember I really enjoyed trying to capture those. And the shutter speed back then was not like it is now. So they didn't have like a rapid, release or any of that type
Right.
of thing. So those are the type of things, that action stuff has always kind of been freezing that moment in time.
Okay.
Probably my favorite thing. So I would think probably something with racing because it was a big part of our life.
Do you remember your first camera?
My first camera. Probably a Polaroid, to be honest. Those
Okay. Do you
old
still have that
school.
Polaroid?
Huh?
Do you still have that Polaroid?
Oh, I'm sure my mom does. She keeps everything. So she has like kindergarten work that we hung up on the wall at school. So I would
Okay.
think she probably does.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I've got 2 Rubbermaid totes in the basement here full of all my kids' works and, family history stuff. So I get it. Do you have a bucket list destination that you'd like to travel to photograph, or a bucket list photo you'd like to get? Like what's that look like?
So something that I think I want to explore currently is I'm actually going to shoot my first rodeo in Flat Rock, Indiana. So shout out to them, and I'm super excited about that. It'll be a whole new kind of venture for me, but like PBR, something like that. That's more of a bigger scale, but very much so the action documentary type of style.
Okay.
So that
How
was really
far?
specific. So.
So we're in Northern Kentucky. How far do you travel to photograph, animals or people?
Uh, Probably up to 3 hours. I've done a couple shoots that are pretty far out. To me, if I have a connection with the people and the business, I'll I'll go and do it just because to me the experience is worth every bit of it. So I'm passionate about it, and if we connect and if I feel like, we can tell a good story together, I'll definitely go pretty far.
So when you are not working and you're, say, traveling, what do you do for fun? Do you stay local and have fun, or do you like to go explore the world?
I'm pretty much so stay around the area as in Indiana. So my parents and grandma, my grandpa has passed since, but we kind of, if we can get home, we get home. We're big. We ride quads a lot, so we start the kids very young, and that's kind of our thing. That's how we bond, and
Okay.
I really enjoy being home because it kind of is just a reset, and it kind of reminds me of like, what it's life is really about.
Yeah.
So,
So yeah, I can see with quads and race cars in your history,
oh
and
yeah.
so action photography is obviously key for you.
Yeah, and I sound like a real big hillbilly, and maybe I am, but I definitely like
There's nothing
do
wrong.
other things.
There's nothing wrong with that.
My photography is not hillbilly. I guess we'll say that.
Yeah. Some people would call that the perfect life. So make no
Oh,
apologies.
those are my type of people.
Now, when I go to your website too, I've noticed that you have a membership offering. You don't have to dive too deep into it, but just what are the basics behind that? That's something that I'm not used to seeing. What's that all about?
So the membership, basically, I'm offering it as a quarterly membership. So we're doing a branding shoot for businesses, professional or personal, whichever one you would want to do. It's more for professional, but it's a
Mhm.
quarterly shoot where we are kind of just staying on the same page throughout the year to get cohesive images for either your socials, your website, a product launch. It just keeps us both on the same track, and I can easily be kind of know exactly what you're wanting without restarting every single time. So it keeps the ball rolling. So it's a 4 times a year would be the kind of setup, and then you get everything offered in that level up collection, and it's more so that there is a savings, and it's more so that we stay on a collaborative kind of cohesive journey together to keep
Mhm.
all of your imagery um, kind of on the same path, because a lot of times when you're either launching a website, you need imagery, then you're launching a product, you need more imagery. Maybe you want to spotlight team members, you're more imagery. And then it's kind of like you can keep a cohesive look.
Okay. So when you have that type of relationship, I would imagine that you become friends with your clients too. You get to know them better, and so you can do a better job for them ongoing.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like no matter, who I'm working with, I have a genuine connection with those people, and I'm truly invested in either, their family or their brand, their business, because that's kind of what I do. Why I do what I do is I want to tell their story, because I feel like when you are in it, especially a business owner, it can be overwhelming. It can be like, why, sometimes why am I doing this? And like seeing an outside perspective of like, actually, this is awesome. Like, these are the cool things that you're doing that like everyone else just, thinks it's hero type stuff that you just don't even realize. And it's kind of, they see themselves in a different light. And so I was a teacher for years. I've always had the photography. So I have a teaching degree and a graphic design art history degree. So I've always done both. And so that's always going to be a part of me, that like giving back type of relationship community type of thing. That's how I was raised. So I try to make sure anybody I meet, really, I have some type of good connection with. And my clients, obviously, I'm learning a lot about them and their brand. So I would like to be just as passionate as they are of showing what's unique about them, their team, and their brand.
So, as I said before, I'm encouraging people to go to your website to check out some of the images that you highlight and showcase on that site. What is your website?
It is www.brandedjjp.com. So like BRANDED.com. And the JJP is Jessica Jane Photography, because that was my old business when it was just focused on portraiture photography.
Okay.
So now
I assume that's the best way for people to reach you, correct?
Yes, definitely. We have some inquiry forms on there that they can fill out and kind of just tell me what they're interested in, a little bit about them, and then we'll respond back, and then we'll get the ball rolling and hopefully collab on something.
Okay, well, very good. I'm going to tell a little bit of a secret, and that is, before we started this conversation, you were very nervous.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you were very nervous.
I'm not one to talk about myself.
You did a great job, and
I appreciate it.
It's over, so you can breathe again. It's fine. You did a perfect job explaining who you are and what you can do for people. And I encourage people to go to your website, check out those images that I've seen, because I was blown away by them. And so with that, our time here today is over. Thanks for joining us, Jessica. And thank you to the listeners for listening in. Until next time, everybody, this is the Good Neighbor Podcast. So I will say to you, be good to your neighbor. Till next time. Bye, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast Union. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpunion.com. That's gnpunion.com, or call us at 859-651-8330.